Contender Series 2023, week number 7. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Really looking forward to talking about this Contender Series fight card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note I'll be live for the entire Contender Series fight card Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not miss the fight companion. And let's get into the fights. Starting the card off, we have Igor Da Silva versus Jhonata Silva. So a battle of Silvas here. I'm going to go with Igor Da Silva to win the fight. He's going to be my pick in this matchup. I know he's only 20 years of age, and I guess in general, a young guy like that, you could say maybe potentially raw. 125 pounds. I kind of like his athleticism and kickboxing pressure. And I feel like Jhonata Silva is less impressive with his stand-up. I don't know. I think I would say both guys have good kickboxing bases, but Igor Da Silva has the ability to dictate the pace and also put the pressure on Jhonata Silva. So for me, I prefer the nice Brazilian Muay Thai style of Igor Da Silva here. He stays on his opponents with pressure and volume. He's going to be in their faces. He's got some snap in his punches too. And I also feel like potentially could work some takedowns here over Jhonata Silva. So Igor Da Silva, we got both the same last names. Get it right. That's the pick. As far as recent opponents, we'll quickly look at it. We have, a 9-1 Manuel Rodriguez over in Jungle Fight. I'd say when you're fighting a 9-1 guy, sure, in the regional scene, they can be inflated records, but still rather impressive there. And we can dig into it. I mean, he's got some decent opposition as of late. On the opposite side, I mean, a Cage Warriors win that was impressive, even though Silva, I don't know, man. I'm just not necessarily over-impressed by him. I think he gets bullied a bit too much inside of the cage. And then the layoff. This is what kills me. He did take a really long layoff. Granted, being only 26, 4 years off from the game is not necessarily a huge deal where you have more consistent fights here. I know it's a year ago since the 20-year-old fought, so damn, 7 fights at 19. Igor Da Silva, I think, is a pretty swell young prospect. The problem is I'm a little bit worried about how both of these guys would compete in the mid-levels of the UFC right now. And Igor Da Silva at only 20, I could see the UFC, even with a win for him, which I'm going to call here, potentially being hesitant to sign him simply because of his age. That's a little bit of a worry. 20 years of age is... That's baby, man. That's a child in the guy. I know Raul Rosas is there. Granted, that's, I guess, an exception to the rule. So if Da Silva's real impressive, could see a signing. But there's always potential for, like, developmental deals. There was Jhonata Silva, and there's Igor Da Silva, who at 20 actually kind of has a grown man look to him. And we got the face-off. Guys, I think that Da Silva is going to smoke Silva. I think that Igor is going to destroy him. I don't know. I have a good feeling about his pressure attack. And I think he's going to get a knockout win. That's going to be my official prediction here. Igor Da Silva by knockout. Now, he's minus 210 as a favorite. And I think that's actually a reasonably priced tag for the stylistic matchup because I see Da Silva putting the pressure on Silva. Minus 210, though. He is the favorite. Silva at plus 180 as the dog. I think we're going under at minus 175, and my official prediction for Silva by knockout, we don't even know where it's at because we got Silva by KO plus 500. The bookies don't even have the props properly lined up, but I'll tell you this. I think there's a real chance that Igor Da Silva knocks out Jhonata Silva in the first 2 rounds. I think we're going under 2.5. I think Igor Da Silva's beating him up. Minus 210, the favorite. I think I feel pretty good about the favorite starting this card off. We're going Igor Da Silva to win in our first fight on this Contender Series card. Let's keep running. Let's get to the next one. Kruschewsky versus Dylan Mantello. I'll tell you guys, Kruschewsky, I looked up the name and got the pronunciation down. I believe it's right. If it's wrong, feel free to shaft me in the comments. I'll take the beating. You guys know I can hang. Dylan Mantello is an underdog here, and I'm looking at Kayan's recent fight. He's getting controlled. He was in a rear naked choke, and I'm thinking I got a Serra Longo guy and Dylan Mantello from New York hard-nosed, tough dude who's got experience at 7-2. I know, Kainan is more impressive with the 14-1 record on paper. Granted, he lost this fight and it was overturned over in Aries because Damon Lapalus tested positive for some type of steroid there. Granted, it was an L against a 17-15 fighter, so that's something we got to bring into to, keep in our minds. Whereas Mantello's losses, Archie Colgan's a fucking monster, and then, John Ramirez, the 5-5 fighter, it's not a great look. Oh, I feel like Dylan Mantello's a good underdog here. I'm going to pick Dylan Mantello as a dog in this fight. I recognize that Kainan has a solid Brazilian Muay Thai game with knockout power, but I believe he is susceptible to takedowns. How I'm looking at this fight, it's ending one of two ways. It's Kainan by knockout or it's Mantello by submission in this fight here. And when I feel like I got a bit of a coin flip, it's Contender Series, I think I got to go underdog. So I'm going to go Dylan Mantello to win. I'm not telling you guys he's the fucking lock of the century. He's not an absolute go out, throw it all down, because when you look at his kickboxing, a little more upright than I like, a little flat-footed, which I don't love here. I think he's going to get outclassed in the striking department. My question mark, though, is can Kainan stay on the feet the whole time? Now, he's got nice knees up the center. He being Kainan. He does have good Brazilian Muay Thai striking, but I can see him getting strangled. He got nearly strangled by Snake 2 fights ago. It was this fight here with John David. Ended up getting a win. I might be overhyping the Serra Longo team, but I'm going to believe in him here. I'm going to say we got an upset. I'm going to go underdog in this fight right here. At plus 200, I think he's a live underdog. Now, as far as the face-offs between these two, I didn't hate it. There is Kainan Kruschewsky. And then there is Dylan Mantello, who looks like a badass motherfucker with a black eye and an intense face-off. Listen, I think Mantello's here. I'm going to say Mantello with the upset. I'm going to go submission. I'm thinking rear naked strangle. Mantello, upset win, rear naked strangle, gets a massive W, and I think earns a contract in impressive fashion against a very impressive 14-1 Brazilian. But I think Mantello's ground game can shine here. Now, Kainan is a minus 230 favorite to Mantello at plus 195 as the underdog. Mantello to win the fight by a submission all the way up at plus 425. I'm feeling that sub side. Now, if I'm on the opposite side and, you like Kruschewsky at plus 205 by knockout, I also think he's live for that because Mantello last fight was rocked bad. Granted, came back, got a sub win. Different stylistic matchup, though. A more short, stocky opponent there versus a more Muay Thai kickboxing style opponent here. I'm going to say we get an upset. I'm going to go Mantello to find his way on top, find his way to the back, and find his way to a strangle. It's Contender Series. We're going underdog in this 50-50 matchup here. Dylan Mantello for the upset win, representing New York and that Serra Longo team. Next fight, Talita Alencar versus Stephanie Luciano. Alencar is just too much of a grappling problem for Luciano here. I feel like the side of Luciano is rather impressive with her kickboxing and hand speed, and you can see, some knockout power. Granted, I guess when we start to really dig back, not always knockouts left and right, but she did show some thud against Eileen Oliveira. She has good punch combinations on the inside, and she definitely is going to be the better striker of the two, but Talita, I feel like Talita Alencar, jiu-jitsu is too high level. She competes in grappling very often, and she has very strong takedowns, and she threatens nicely with a head and arm. We got a 9-year age difference between these two, which is interesting, right? The 32-year-old fighter who's older with less fights, still unbeaten, which I think is a positive factor to bring in here. A year and 7 months ago, Luciano lost, to a 3-1-1 fighter. I just feel like Alencar's jiu-jitsu game, wrestling, top pressure, control, her threatening with the head and arm position and using it to control opponents is going to set a lot of shit up for her on the ground. So I'm going to go Alencar to win this fight. I'm going to say she's getting it done by a submission on the ground. I got a good feeling about her winning by sub. Should be a bit of a grappling mismatch. Now, the same can be said about the striking. Luciano, her stand-up's going to be a bit better, but I think Alencar finds the fight on the floor and shines when it gets there. There is Alencar looking in great shape. Her opponent looks in good shape too. Stephanie looks in good shape. Then there's the face-off. Obviously, you can see a bit of a height difference. I'll tell you, though, when they go to the ground, the slim, longer striker is going to struggle with the grappling prowess and strength on the opposite side. Alencar is going to get in that half guard and lock position, and she's going to be threatening with submissions the entire time. I don't think that her opponent is going to be able to survive that onslaught. So we're going Alencar for a submission win. I think she's going to get it done in the first 2 rounds here by sub. As far as the odds in this fight here, Alencar is a minus 215 favorite. I think that's a deserving tag with the clear grappling skill set advantage she has. Luciano sitting at plus 185. I like Alencar. I like her by sub. Plus 150 for sub. There's a good chance of it. I really believe there is a good chance of it. Now, I'm going to bring up a potential red flag between these two ladies. If you look, you have a canceled bout for, Luciano. She was supposed to be fighting against Pedroni, and now Alencar jumping in on short notice. So sometimes when you got a short notice fight, maybe she's not in the perfect shape. I think she's going to be ready to win here at 4-0 with the clear-cut grappling edge. And we saw a couple weeks back, short notice Brazilian girl step in and absolutely smoke her opponent in the grappling department. Now, I expect Alencar's grappling to be the ultimate difference maker between these two. So we're going Talita, Alencar, win via submission in this ladies matchup on the card. Co-main event, JaCobi Jones versus Daniel James Allen. I got to pick JaCobi Jones to win this fight here. A big reason is the fact that Allen, he's not fighting often. I mean, 5 fights in 5 years, and I believe this last one here was an amateur fight, really 6 years. 5 fights in 6 years. When we dig back, 5 fights in less than 2 years for the opposite side of JaCobi Jones. I think that Jones is going to end up beating the AKA fighter in Allen. Now, I feel like Daniel James Allen's wrestling onslaught and pace is something that could potentially give Jones early frazzle. You know, he could be a little bit thrown off in the first opening stages, maybe taken down. But Jones has solid takedown defense. He's a pretty scrambly guy on the ground, and I'd say overall he's pretty scrappy. Sometimes some wild exchanges because he does get into like a high-volume onslaught kind of brawl type of mindset and looks to get stoppages. He's an aggressive fighter who throws really hard strikes, has a good kickboxing base, also has the wrestling tutelage here, whereas I feel like Daniel James Allen has fought nobodies. Also, like 5 months ago, decision over a 2-4 fighter, right? Then 2 years and 10 months ago, debuting fighter. 3 years ago, 3-4. At the end of the day, even though I think he's explosive with his wrestling, he's 31, only 4 fights. And it's not only about having 4 fights, it's the lack of activity for him. Whereas I got JaCobi Jones at 27, common fighting all the time. Factory X Muay Thai. You know he's going to have a stand-up advantage as long as he can stay off his back. And I think for the most part, he might be on his back. Not for the most part, but I think a couple times he might be put on his back. I think Jones scrambles up to the feet, and I think Allen's going to be a dead man in the stand-up game. I'm going Jones for the win, and I'm going KO in this one. I think he gets like an emphatic knockout. I think it's an impressive win that might even look like a bit of a mismatch because when you haven't fought anyone, that's not a good look. This is Allen here on the scale. He's ripped. He looks great. Jones looks like a bad motherfucker poised to win. And I don't know what the height difference listed versus reality because these two seem 1.5 inches, 2 inches apart. I think JaCobi Jones is going to knock out Daniel James Allen in brutal fashion. Allen is going to be one-dimensional. He's going to want to get takedowns. He's going to need to be on top, and he doesn't have great finishing ability from top. And now I got JaCobi Jones, who can put people to sleep. He can scramble well on the ground. He's got a high-paced style. I think Jones is getting an impressive knockout. So Jones by KO, I'm feeling pretty solid about here. I think he's going to chin Daniel James Allen. Now, as far as the odds, yeah, minus 312. It's for good reason. Allen is literally a part-time fighter at this point. It's interesting. Very interesting. AKA guy obviously gets the shake here on, Dana White's Contender Series, but not fighting often enough. Minus 312, JaCobi Jones, I think a KO, plus 200 for the KO. The minus 312 is a little wide, but with Allen's lack of activity, I can expect Jones to beat him up on the feet. And he's fought nobody. I can't pick a guy who is fighting a 2-4 guy last time out where I got 5-1 opposition, 3-0, 2-0. Obviously a loss with 4-3, but at the end of the day, armbar loss is forgivable. From top, you can make a mistake and get caught in something. That's what happened there. It's the game. He's still taking on better fighters. I think JaCobi Jones for the win, and with a knockout, I think we're looking at a guy that potentially gets signed to the UFC. So JaCobi Jones for the W in the co-main event. He's going to knock out Daniel James Allen, who I feel like is part-time in this game, and that's not a good sign when you're taking on a young prospect. Next fight is our main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Shamil Gaziev versus Greg Velasco. The battle of the nicknames. Listen, the Viking King's a badass nickname, but unfortunately, he's fighting somebody from the Dagestan mountains. He's fighting a dangerous Shamil Gaziev. Gaziev by knockout. I'm going with the giant. This dude is scary. Now, Velasco, heavier than him at 263.5. To Gaziev at 259.5. I think Velasco's getting chinned in this fight here. Now, note something about Velasco that we saw through tape, right? He has good ground skills. The dude has strong takedowns. He's active in his clinch as well and will throw nice elbows on the inside. His wrestling is going to be solid, and he's going to threaten with submissions. You can look. He's a TKO here, decision there, heel hook there, rear naked choke there, and then a submission to strikes there. Still technically counts as a sub. But at the end of the day, Velasco offers a very, very solid ground game. But Gaziev, look at the no mustache and straight beard. Forget about anything else. That alone should tell you he's going to be able to fend off takedowns. And now you force these guys to strike. Gaziev is a fucking puncher. Darko Stosic, ex-UFC fighter, knocked him out. Pavel Deledico, 4-1 guy, slept him. Now, he has this split decision, but, I mean, come on. 13-0-1, and this dude's 6'5" and also a scary heavyweight prospect. There's no shame in that one there. Looking into the record, I just want to bring some up. Look at the amateur record. 9-2 as an amateur. The IMMAF championship, competitor. The dude's been in there at a high level. Come on, man. He's a champion there at the amateur level. So you got 9-2 as an amateur. He's already got the skill set polished as he goes pro. 10-2 as a pro. Like, he's 19-2. Velasco's 6-0. And it's not like he's a nobody. He's got some fights as an amateur. Hamdi Abdullah Wahab, split decision. I mean, Abdullah Wahab hopped for steroids and has a win in the UFC. So I guess that's not a bad win. He was 3-1 as an amateur, and he's 6-0 here now as a pro. I just think that it's not Velasco being bad. I think Velasco's probably UFC talent here. It's just they're giving him Gaziev. This is not a guy that he's going to beat. The Contender Series, this is the dude to keep your eye on. We got a heavyweight boogeyman in Shamil Gaziev that I definitely think is somebody that with an impressive win, he could make waves in the UFC. He's got a menacing look. He looks like a giant evil Habib. What else could the fans ask for? Yeah, give me Gaziev to knock out the Viking. I'm picking the Dagestanis over the Vikings, guys. That's just the truth. There is Greg Velasco. Long hair, style, little chubby. Granted, it's not like Gaziev's winning the physique competition, but he's a badass dude. Look how huge he is. Got the height advantage. He's got good boxing. Gaziev's hands are smooth. He's got great punch combinations. I'd say he's fast for a heavyweight, definitely, and has a clear striking edge here. And I don't believe that Velasco's going to be able to bully him on the ground. And that's what Velasco does to a lot of people, and I think he'd do it to maybe some guys that are in the UFC right now. So Velasco, keep your eye on him. I do think he eventually makes his way to the big show, but get out of here. He's going to beat Gaziev. No shot. Gaziev, knockout, emphatic fashion, and we're going to be talking about this all week long after Tuesday. I can't wait to be live for it. Minus 550, Gaziev. Yeah, he's a big favorite. Plus 425 for Velasco. Let's see. Gaziev by KO is minus 135. That makes a ton of sense to me. I think he's probably getting a knockout in this fight. Gaziev, yeah, he's a bit of a, scary hype train, but I think he's got the goods. Gaziev, Knockout win. I'm not fading the EV here. If you follow the channel, the old joke was always never fade the OVs or EVs. And, you know, as of late, sometimes I do fade them. Here, EV all day. Give me Gaziev, impressive win, knockout, contract-winning performance, and I can't wait for this heavyweight fight. This is maybe one of my most exciting matchups on the entire Contender Series season so far, because who the hell doesn't want to watch badass heavyweights that seem to have a lot of potential? Now, I do want to do kind of like the fun fan section of who's getting signed. You already know. Gaziev is getting signed, absolutely. I'm going to say that Mantello with the submission upset is also getting signed. Alencar with the submission win is getting signed. Igor Da Silva, I'm a little worried about getting signed. I'll tell you why, because he's only 20. And if he goes distance with Jhonata Da Silva, I think he's just going to get like a, hey, we'll bring you back, or you're a young kid, we'll maybe do a developmental deal, something like that. So I'm a little more concerned about him. I'm leaning no for Da Silva unless he gets a stoppage, which I think he is going to. I'm calling a stoppage, but at the end of the day, it's the fight game. And JaCobi Jones over Daniel James Allen with a knockout, he'll get signed too. We might see a sweep of signings. If they're all impressive, they're going to get a sweep of signings, and I'm predicting a very impressive night. I'm predicting a night of violent finishes. I'm expecting this to be one of the better Contender Series episodes that have went down this entire season. So yeah, look for a 5-0 signing, 5 signings, I guess I should say. Let's jump to the parlays. Let's talk about some parlays. Let's look at some things. All right, I threw up 3 picks: Da Silva, Alencar, Gaziev, plus 142. But I'm gonna change things up a little bit, because I think I want to give you guys something a little bit different. Da Silva, Gaziev, minus 147. You're like, yo, I don't want a 20-year-old. So red flags in the fight game. Betting on somebody that's 20 years old, women's MMA. Fair, and short notice, so I'll throw 3. So let's say I got to remove the potential red flag options. I think Gaziev is still a great call, and I also think JaCobi Jones. I feel like these two are both probably going to end up pulling it off here. Now, if you want to add steam to your slate, a Gaziev and an underdog call of Mantello doesn't give you much at minus 260. Something tells me, man, JaCobi Jones, Da Silva, the Alencar fight, because it's ladies, it's like, yo, let me leave it out. But I'll just throw it in for the hell of it. Plus 918. Guys, I don't know if I'm delusional this week or not, because I feel confident that it is live for a sweep on this Contender Series card. Now, I'm not telling you to go bet it crazy. I will scream this up and down. If you're betting Contender Series, do so lightly, do so intelligently. Don't throw your fucking rent money at any bets, but especially the damn Contender Series. Holy fuck. Whatever you're betting normally for UFC, maybe you're cutting it in half. Maybe you're cutting it into a quarter. At the end of the day, the decision is yours, but bet responsibly, please. In general, but Contender Series, like I'll reiterate, especially Contender Series, be cautious with your parlays. So I guess Gaziev becomes a high confidence pick. Mantello's in it as a dog. I definitely think live by sub, but like I'd rather just money line a dog. First fight and main event, throw them together, minus 139. And then if things go awry, you could always then, degenerately throw in a Gaziev Jones one to finish out the card. Plus 131 for the trifecta. Guys, I think that's a solid breakdown right there. I hope you enjoyed this week's Contender Series weigh-in recap show. As I said at the beginning of the show, I'm live for the whole thing, so don't miss it. Smash the likes here. If you're new, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the picks. Do you agree with my takes, or maybe you got some different picks than me? I'm curious to hear it. Let me know in those comments. If you got nothing to say in those comments, but you just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Make sure you turn the post notifications on too. And don't leave them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video, because I have daily content dropping on the channel, and I know you want to catch it all. Much love, my people. I appreciate you all watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.